how you got into this industry.
And I got my first job as an intern in Credit Suisse.
Dive deeper into like how the industry works from an insider's perspective.
If you want to, if they wanted to sell 500,000 shares of a stock that wasn't that liquid, so what do? They call the broker and say, guys, I have a big size here that I need to sell. So we call the guy and say, hey, I have a seller of 500,000 shares, and are you interested to increase your position, your size? And the guy, yeah, maybe, depends on the price.
So even though front running is illegal, it still happens.
A lot.
Pushing the price up and down to make the big money people happy to get their deals settled.
It happens.
Very happy to have you on my show. So let's just start things up, and I want you to tell people about you, how you got into this industry, and how's your background like.
Thank you for your invite. It's a pleasure to be here. And well, it's a long story, to be honest. My trading career started 16 years ago. It's a lot, 16. Uh, which means like when I was in college, I already started like trading, like knowing, like I got introduced to stocks when I was in like first year of uni. And in uni, I kind of created an investment club, which was basically like some family and friends money to manage, but everything in Brazilian market. Like, okay, my name is Lucas. I forgot to tell that. I'm from Brazil, so now I'm living in Portugal, and I have a nice story about like the traveling and stuff, but I'll get there. But basically, I started trading in 2007, so it's been a long time, and it's been like a mess for a long journey, a long period of time. So I started this investment club. It went. We blew up the account. So imagine like turning, because it was not only our first time trading, but it was our first time trading other people's money, which is even worse. Uh, and that was like not a good start, but in a way I kind of understood how difficult and how big the responsibility is to manage other people's money. And after that, like I graduated college, and I got my first job as an intern in Credit Suisse. So I can say I was lucky enough because it was like a really restricted type of job, because I was especially in the brokerage area, brokerage house area, which was like 10 people only. Imagine like being part of a group. And back then, now, saying that I work at a Credit Suisse means nothing because they went bankrupt. But back then in Brazil, they were the biggest market makers of of Brazilian market. Like of all the brokers, because in Brazil it's different from US, because US we call it hidden screen, which means we cannot see which broker is buying or selling. But in Brazil we can see like Credit Suisse selling, we can see Morgan Stanley selling, we can see like any local broker buying or selling. So we knew like each day which broker was the biggest in terms of negotiations. So we were like for the last 5 years back then the biggest brokerage house in terms of volume, and it was an amazing time because I learned how to trade. But when I was a trader, that I started as a middle office intern, so I didn't start as a trader, of course. So it was not an easy job. I had to order food for all the traders in the desk. Imagine like doing this kind of job It's kind of crazy nowadays, but that's how things were back then. And I started like growing up in the company, like doing getting better positions until I got an opportunity to become a trader. And when I got there, it was my last job after I got fired. Uh, I'm gonna explain that, but basically, like it was the best experience of my life. 1 year and a half trading, like I would say, I traded like 50 million in a day. It's like insane volume that I traded like with my own number of account. But the point is, I was responsible to execute trades. I was not responsible to make money, which is very different. So like brokers, the main thing that they do is like they want to have the best execution price. And that is basically like when we talk about like trading in our niche, and it's like you gotta have a price that is close to view up. You gotta have a price better than view up, because if you bought it before, like with a better price than view up, you bought it better than the average. So that's basically how we work it. And imagine like dealing with 300 and 500 orders at the same time, like everybody screaming at you in the phones, and like six screens. It was a crazy and fucking stressful life. But it was a like amazing experience to understand how how the institutionals think, which is completely different what retails think. They are worried about price because they need to get in the stock. They are now day trading like everybody here. So basically, they need to have the better price. They are worried that people know that they have a position to sell, because if they know, they're gonna front run their order. So it's completely different, but it was an amazing time. And I'm gonna just keep my journey inside trading, because I have like after like quit the job, I started working in finance, like did a major in finance, did a master in US actually, but it was in business. And then, well, I had my own company. I founded a startup for 5 years. It was a commerce company, completely different sector, food sector. But anyway, it was a great experience. I think it was my best MBA ever. And it was my second time in my life that I blew up my account, which is I went bankrupt in my company. And there was a lot of knowledge that I earned by having that stressful and worst experience ever. Like, we have to fire like 50 employees. It was terrible, but in a way, we like in these deep uh, valleys of life, we learned a lot. And basically, that was a great experience. And it's crazy, man, because I had that. The company went bankrupt. I had to take all my Brazilian money outside the country, because in Brazil, like people who are entrepreneurs, they are not protected by their personal finance, which means like if the company needs are in debt, we are responsible in a physical for as an individual for the money that the company owns, which is terrible in terms of making business in Brazil, but that's how it is. And US I think is completely different, but I had to take all my money outside Brazil, so I opened an interaction brokers account, and I said, okay, now I gotta invest the money that I have in US. What do I do? First time I thought, okay, let's buy Amazon and Netflix, and I said, nah, like I understand how stocks work, I understand finance. Let's start like study a sector. And this was 2019, and I didn't know that back then, but I was in the beginning of the green rush, which means like the weed sector that got really hot from 2019 to 2020. And like I invested in six companies. Five of them they did like 2x, 3x, and uh, one of that went to zero. So basically, my whole portfolio went 100% up in 1 year. So it was a great start. And then like after I actually sold close to the top, got lucky, I can say. I said, okay, now what do I do? Like I gotta do something. I gotta invest in something else. And I kind of understood that like the companies that I invested in, they were like OTCs. They were like small companies. They were small caps, basically. So I started to watch a little bit, understand, because like when I bought it, to be honest, when I bought these stocks, I didn't even have like my TWS setup, which means like I bought the stocks in the web browser. It was not trading; it was basically investing. So after that, when I saw the stocks, okay, let's see like how Interactive Brokers works, and see if I can trade something here, see some charts, see some stuff. And then I understood how the scanner worked, and I kind of saw like a lot of stuff going up, like 100%, 200% up in a day. And I got lucky again, I would say. I bought like PETZ. David probably knows this stock. He remembers this stock because it was one of his biggest. I think I never told him that, but it was one of the biggest squeezes that he had back then. I think it was 2021. And I got lucky because I bought it like 5 minutes before market close. I bought it like $1,000 in a investing kind of way, like swing trading. After 10 minutes, the stock was 200% up. I was making like I was making $2,000 in like 10 minutes without like any like I was doing anything. Basically, I did like $2,000 in 10 minutes. I said, "What the fuck is going on here? Like, how do I make this money?" Okay, so I kind of like I closed the position, of course. Like, how do I like $2,000 is a lot of money for a day. Like, imagine like for an account of 10, it's like 20% of your account. So okay, so like that moment, I understood that I needed to study and understand what small caps and penny stocks were. And I started studying online, man. I started finding information online, and I got to Team Sykes, you know, and I gave it like the chance. It was one shot. It was actually my last shot because like kind of skipped it all the process because I kind of skipped some of the history because since I quit, I left Credit Suisse. I continued trading for my whole life, but it was like trading in Brazil basically. Like I traded indexes, I traded forex, I traded pair trading, which is like long and short. I traded crypto. I traded everything that is available, like options, everything. I couldn't get profitable in any other market. And like now I know that I'm profitable here. But the point is, when I got to the point to buy Team Sykes course, I said that's my last chance in trading. It was actually my last chance. It was the last amount of money that I had, like before the account to trade. There was the last amount of money that I was able to spend in education, and that was the best investment of my life. I would say, like for sure, because not only the knowledge that I gained there, it was the networking that I had. I met David. I met like a lot of people that now it's part of my friend zone in terms of trading, which means like I trade with like David and a lot of people every day, and that changed my life because of course I got kind of I was lucky enough to see the end of the OTC hot market. I was not there to profit on it because back then I was a long trader, not a short seller trader. So I started trading like the back. I was longing the backside of the movement of the OTC markets, and but and back and I kind of understood like, bro, I'm buying everything that went down. So the stock went up, and I'm buying the backside, and like all the stocks there, they do the same move. And like once I got like I became a back holder of one or two stocks. I didn't like my risk management was terrible back then. and I started, no, I gotta learn how to short sell. And since I was in Tim Sykes challenge, I saw all the success of Steven Ducks, success of Tim Brittany. So it's kind of the same story as David, which means I saw like the main millionaires from Tim Sykes, they were short sellers. So something was going on there, and I gotta learn what they do. And that was the beginning of my journey, like uh, uh, profit, like gains and loss every day, learning something new, like learning something not to do. uh, One thing that helped me a lot, and David has a big part of it. His networking became my networking kind of way, and he introduced me to a lot of nice people, which was, for example, like Ellie Angel. It's a really good fundamentals trader, long bias trader. She like I did her course. Her course was amazing in terms of knowledge. And now, like when I had all the knowledge that I developed trading, short selling, and plus trading with David and a lot of people, in terms of stock selection. With the fundamentals, when I say fundamentals, I'm not talking only about like flow, about dilution. I'm talking about like why the stock is up, like checking exercise prices, checking like actually the news, all the news, like all the agendas that there is around all the stocks. You kind of understand the puzzle, so you understand what's behind the movements. And of course, I'm not right every time, but I try to be like at least like 80-90% right, which it's kind of what I have like as winning rate. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey, man. But like that's it. Like I have like more story to tell, but let me let me wait for you to ask something else.
Oh yeah, I think that was a great explanation, and I'm just enjoying listening to you because you have a lot of experience. But a follow-up question would be, because you worked for Credit Suisse and in the brokerage department, you know, from an outsider, me and the audience wouldn't know what really happens inside the brokerage houses of these big banks like Credit Suisse. So could you like dive deeper into like how the industry works from an insider's perspective?
So basically, investment banking in a way, it has like two main revenue sources, which are IPOs. So they call it ECN, so equity capital markets. So basically, all the money that goes from issuing new stock into the market, and commissions. And all these two departments, they are connected with one, which is equity research. The equity research is responsible to creating reports for the roadshow for an IPO, and not only that, for the companies that are already in the market. So basically, equity research is a big part of new ideas, new trading ideas. When you see like Barclays uh, upgrading a stock, they are actually creating flow, which is what is that? They are creating news to tell people to buy some stock. So when they have this new type of information available to the market, we as brokers, we are responsible to call the clients to tell them the news. And like this, like is a job for the salesperson. So the salesperson or the sales trader person call them and like, do you want to buy this stock? Do you want to sell this stock? Do you want to do something about this? And then goes like this. So I think the main difference about trading, in terms of trading, it's about the size of the stock that you trade. So imagine a mid cap. A mid cap, if you want to sell 1 million shares of a mid cap, maybe you're gonna pressure the stock down. So what do like big brokers do? The investors, like imagine Wellington. Wellington, if you check like Google Wellington, it's one of the biggest, or maybe like it's one of the biggest asset managements in the world, besides BlackRock. Um, if they want to sell, I remember that like it happened exactly with Wellington. If you want to, if they wanted to sell 500,000 shares of a stock that wasn't that liquid, so they couldn't go to the market, because if they sell the stock in the market, everybody would know that there was a big seller around, and they would front running and start selling before. So what do? They call the broker and say, guys, I have a big size here that I need to sell. So would you find me some buyer for this sell, see this size? So what do? We check on Bloomberg. We use a Bloomberg. So like, what are the biggest holders of the stock? So imagine like another big bank, another big investor was a holder of this stock. So we call the guy and say, hey, I have a seller of 500,000 shares, and are you interested to increase your position, your size? And the guy, yeah, maybe. Depends on the price. I would buy it 3% down from the price, the actual price. And we call the other guy and say, okay, I have found 500,000 shares, 3%. With a price 3% below the price that it is right now. Do you want to close the deal? Yes. Okay. So we actually pressure the stock down a little bit for 3%, and then we pass what we call it a block trade, which is exactly a trade in between the spread with a big size, and makes two different big investors happy, and the stock kind of you don't pressure the stock, you don't go to the market and do what probably in small caps happens a lot. Market makers playing with a lot of retail, just dumping shares like 10% down in 1 minute, just to create create volatility and create liquidity, because when they do that, they are looking for the stops. So it's a completely different game, and it's the size that matters. And also I was a market maker in Credit Suisse, but the market making there, they were like only responsible to give liquidity. It's not like the market makers that we have in the US. It's kind of crazy stuff, like a lot of market makers like doing movements and kind of creating flow, and that's completely different. But well, that's it. A little bit of how it is to trade uh, in institutional mindset, which is they look only as fundamentals and flow. They don't look at graphs. They don't look at technical analysis at all. I was like the only uh, the only people there like watching graphs, and nobody cared about it. But okay.
So will you say that the big banks are pushing the price up and down to make the big money people happy to get their deals settled?
It happens.
Wow. And that's how they construct the graphs.
Kind of, especially the volatility, and this happens, probably happens in US the same way.
So even though like front running is illegal, it still happens.
A lot, a lot.
And I mean, there's no legal consequence for it.
It's very hard to catch like the information. I mean, like it's not easy to prove that you had because maybe you're working with an assumption that there was a big seller, but you cannot prove that you had the information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of course, like if you I'm gonna give you an example. And that happened actually. If you look, I'm not gonna say the name of the guy, but it was a friend of mine that got fired because he was trading in his grandma's account. He was a trader in the U.S., like a Brazilian guy working in New York desk from Credit Suisse. And he was trading like real money with his grandma account on the side. Like all the information that he had, he was just like shorting stocks, buying stocks. When he saw the flow and he knew something was gonna happen, he was front running and he got caught. But it's not easy to happen to like to, especially when you trade small size. You're not gonna get caught. It's hard, but it happens.
So like how did you transition from working in these big banks, handling other people's money at a larger scale, to then going totally on your own and, managing your money? To me it feels like two different worlds. On one
It
side,
is.
you because I heard that investing other people's money, it's so, like less fear for somebody, while on the other side more fear for somebody. So where do you feel comfortable?
Well, first, when I worked at the bank, I was not responsible to make money. So I was only responsible to execute orders. And the only complaints I would have is that it was the price. If I got a bad price, not like exactly like a good trade. And the big difference is, well, when you're trading your own money, uh, depending on the situation that you are, which means now I'm a full-time trader, and basically like 80% of all my revenues come from trading. The emotional part comes so heavy, and it's really hard. It took me a long time even to understand that that's what I'm gonna do. I love to do, and what I'm good at, and to do this for the rest of my life. And so I think that's the best part of the story, and to get in now. I mean, because the transition was not like, how do I got what I am now. It's kind of has a journey just for itself, because when I started trading in with Team Sykes, I was still in my job. I worked after I went bankrupt. I started working in a startup, and it was a startup in Brazil, in trading. Actually, it was an algorithm trading software for index future in Brazil. So basically, like retail creates their own technical analysis strategy, like a bot to trade. And it was cool, but I mean, that wasn't what I wanted to do for my life. And I started trading in Brazil, pre-market and after hours. They are like, they are from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., which means like I had the two gaps of trading, and in between I had like my working 9 to 5, perfectly matched. So I did this for 2 years. So I basically woke up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and like traded for an hour, and then had my 9 to 5 job, and then 1 hour in the end of the day. And I kind of learned how to trade by that. And I met David in trading pre-market at 5 a.m. And we kind of get close, and I kind of understood a little bit and about fundamentals, as I said, and I kind of got better. And when I saw I was making the same amount of money than my job uh, by trading, so I did, of course, double, because I had my job plus the amount of money. But I said, why not try? Why not give it a try and live the dream? You know. And well, it started 2 years, no, 1 year and a half ago, September 2022, and I became full-time trader, and that was the best decision of my life, I would say, and the hardest decision of my life. I would say it was the best because the freedom that I got, I never had in my life. To be able to do whatever I want. Like last year, I traveled 17 countries. Like I never traveled more than 3 countries, 2 countries in my life in any year. It's crazy, and I paid my whole trip while traveling, while working. I mean, like I paid the whole trip trading during the trip that I had, and I think I think the click that happened to me is that I was so worried about making money that I wasn't enjoying the freedom that I had. So instead of just like staying at home for a year, for 2 years, of course I had some money saved in my bank, but the point is, I took a different path even from David compared to David. He was so laser focused, so focused to get like a huge wealth that he was probably like the whole year at home. He made like 1 or 2 trips, and that's okay. That was his goal. I mean that he's way better than me financially speaking, but I'm kind of understanding that for me, what works is different for him. What works for me is understanding that I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying the journey more than the end goal. So I don't care if I make like 2,000, 5,000. It's a lot of money for me anyway. You gotta remember that I'm from Brazil. So if I'm making 2,000 a month, bro, if you compare to what Brazilian makes, like especially like the low income, the what's the name, the basic the base salary, right? It's so low. It's so low in Brazil. Like imagine like the wage in Brazil, the minimum wage. That was the word that I was trying to find. The minimum wage in Brazil is $300. I made $300 in 1 hour today. You know, it's crazy, guy. People work for a month to make $300 in Brazil, and I can make it in an hour. So if I make like $2,000, $3,000 a month, like probably David does in a day. I'm not judging. He's perfect. He's doing way better than me financially speaking. But I'm okay to make less and think about just long term. Because now I know that what I can do forever, hopefully forever. I mean, like if the market continues the same, because I understood the process. My main struggle as a trader is to increase size. To trade with more size for me, it's like more stress, more I don't know, like I get emotion. So I know I got to improve on that. If I want to get to 1 million one day, I got to improve on that. But the path that I kind of decided to do is okay, that's a struggle, but how can I like turn around it? I understood that okay, like I'm still even though I don't increase size, I'm making a lot of money, and a lot of money compared even like I'm in Portugal, bro. Like a doctor here, a doctor makes 4,000 euros. I make sometimes 4,000 euros in a week, and I say, man, like I don't need more than that. I don't need to get $1 million there. I just want to have a good life and travel and like enjoy life. So now I'm focusing on sports, on having like I'm living close to the sea. I can see like the sea every single day. I'm focusing on travel. So next week I'm going to Poland. So why I'm in Portugal? Like last year I traveled like to 17 countries. I went to Asia, I went to Oceania, and it was amazing time. But now I started. I want to have a base in Europe, so I'm here in Portugal. It's the same language as I have. It's like the best weather, and it's so close to any place here, so I can travel a lot. So I'm going to Poland next week. On the other, I'm going to Malta. So I'm kind of traveling and trying to enjoy life, and like trading it's going well anyway, so I'm just enjoying life, man. I think it was the best. Why I said it was the hardest decision, and that's the main thing, because I'm gonna be honest with you. Like when I came back from the trip, the backpacking that I did to Asia, I spent like 2 months, 3 months trading. focusing on trading, and I had huge drawdowns. I had good drawdowns. In October, I had a huge drawdown. And what I thought I was, bro, I might find a job again, because every big drawdown you have, every big loss, you kind of question yourself that you're doing the right decision, because it's stressful. It's not guaranteeing money. Sometimes you lose the whole month in one trade. That's my type of trading, and that's, yeah, I'm not gonna change it because it's working. But when I profit, I make X, and when I lose, I make 10X. Okay, some people would say I'm crazy, but it's working pretty well for me. Now I have a stop. I stop. The stop is financial. It's not like per trade. It's like a number that if I hit it, I'm out. It saved my life in October, because if I didn't use this stop loss, I might have blown up my account and my career would be over. And that was the main lesson I would say to everybody. Like, even though you don't want to have a stop loss as a short seller, have a number. You gotta have a number, even though it's like a month worth of trading, 2 months worth of trading, but have a number, because one day you can be like blowing up your account, and now it's over, and in a way, I would say it's not the best way of thinking, but I'm also enjoying life, because I'm not sure. Now I have this stop limit, which is good, but before I didn't have it. And one part of my mind was, I gotta enjoy it until it lasts, because one day I might be the one who blows up the account. Now I'm not thinking that anymore, and that helped me a lot after I decided to have the stop loss, because I know I'm gonna have these max locks like once per year, I guess, most. And uh and then, like, I keep profiting. Like, this max loss is worth a month of worth of trading, which is fine for me. Like, I can keep growing up the account. So yeah, man, I think that's the best part in terms of, like, personal emotion, and how it is to be a professional trader, and completely different in terms of mindset, and even the challenges, and the mind, especially the mind is the thing that I'm working a lot, like studying a lot about neuroscience, meditation, all the things that makes you better as a person, better as a trader, better in all terms. Like, you gotta be you gotta be on shape to trade, because I can agree with a lot of people. Even David calls it as a high performance sport. It is 100%.
Yeah, it's just like any other performance sport you're doing, whether you're like being an athlete of any kind of sports. And when I was speaking to him as well, like there's a strict routine what he goes through, waking up at the same time, eating at the same time, doing workout, and then going back to at the same time. And like he's basically an athlete where he tracks his sleep. So it's just a similar journey of an athlete. He's living with trading. Now, one question I had for you, because you mentioned swing trading. Do you swing trade at all? And how is it different from the day trading strategy you're using?
Basically, all my swing trades until October or September last year, they were only my bad trades, which means, like, if I got squeezed, I would swing the trade. And as I found, like, two Brazilians that they trade U.S. markets, but they have a different type of strategy. They don't trade first win days. They only trade multi-day runners, short. They are short sellers of multi-day runners, and I started understanding how they trade, and I'm getting comfortable of swing trading some big movers from, like, multi-day runners, and it's working pretty well. So now I would say I have like two strategies, like short selling. We call here like day one, and day one. It's the first big move. So they usually the usual trade that I do is like I just look to the big gappers and the big stocks going up, big runners, and I try my best place to find a position to short if the stock is a good short. And swing trading, it's completely different. It's not like fundamental. It's less fundamental and it's more like technical analysis. So basically, like if the stock, even if the stock is a good stock, they short it if the stock is like 200% up multi days. They don't care because they're looking for like the return to the average. It's completely different type of approach, and it's working well, man. I've been seeing like their trades, and I'm starting to do some swing trading now. And yeah, now I can say I have like two different strategies, but all shorting. I'm terrible as a long trader. Terrible. Like every time I go long, like I getting nervous and I quit my position. My stops are really tight, so I almost every time got stopped. So it's not the type of trading for me. And yeah, man, this community, and now like when I met these two guys, we created a community in Brazil which is called Born to Trade, which basically like it's a community for Brazilians and Portuguese language speakers that we trade in U.S. markets. We have like 20 people there, and they're making a lot of money, a good amount of money, and yeah, that's the like now I'm teaching what I do in Portuguese, so I'm kind of trying to give back, you know. Like now I'm not a millionaire. Like I can say I'm rich, which is that I can have the life I have last week next week I can, and that's the way I for me that's wealth. Like it's not the number, it's like the freedom that you have. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you just
And
gotta change the mindset, and sometimes you gotta change. Yeah,
yeah, no,
which is
no, go ahead, go ahead. I was listening.
and that's it. I mean, and then I didn't remember even what I was saying that, but the point is you gotta enjoy the journey, pretty much.
Understandable. And you mentioned that you basically now are focused on technical analysis and you're mainly focused on shorting. Is there any fundamentals you look at to help you get more conviction into a particular setup?
No, no, no. Let me try to. If I'm shorting a day one, I'm 100% fundamental. So I trade like the way that I trade. It's the same way as David trades. I have a little bit less of restrictions. He doesn't trade China. I trade China. He doesn't trade Israel. I trade. So I have a little bit less of restrictions, but uh, we trade exactly the same way. So we look for the same information. That's why we are like trading partners, like trading buddies, because we help each other like on a daily basis. But what I'm trying to say from swing trading, this new type of trading, I don't. It's not about technicals. Of course, if I know the fundamental is bad and the stock is a multi-day runner, I would be. I would have more conviction that the stock is gonna go down. So I might size up a little bit more. But it's a completely type of trading, especially because the volatility of swing trading in the multi-day runners are less high, which is good because you got one more green day, and it's like 5%, 10% up each day. It's not like 100% up in a day. This is only on D1 that first day. So that's the main difference, and it's working well. I mean, like both strategies are working well. So now I can say I have like two main strategies, which is good. It's a diversification.
Got it. And you mentioned about you started to learn from Tim Sykes. Because earlier your background was like totally like working in banking and then going to learn from Tim Sykes. Didn't you receive hate from your banking friends? Because I feel like in the traditional media everybody gives hate to Tim Sykes.
Nah, I would say no because nobody in Brazil knows Team Sykes,
Oh,
So it wasn't a big deal. Actually, like nobody in Brazil knows what I'm talking about. It's crazy, man. Nobody in Brazil knows what U.S. market is. It's so that's why I'm trying to teach, to tell them that there's a huge opportunity there because nobody talks about it, and they keep trading in Brazilian markets, which it's a terrible market in terms of uh, diversity of stocks, of volatility. There's no like I cannot say one stock in Brazil that goes more than 10-20% in a day. It's probably there's nothing. So like in US, it's amazing. The volatility is amazing. It's what gets me like I don't care. If I stay like 10 hours a day working, I love it because there's a lot of opportunity every single day. It's crazy.
that perfectly makes sense. Just I want to wrap it up quickly. So I want to ask one question regarding someone trading from Brazil, like what brokers they can use to trade in US markets.
So I would say if you're not gonna trade full time, or if you're not gonna trade very often, I would say to start with interactive brokers because they allow you to start with $2,000, I guess, $3,000, and but you're gonna be under PDT, so you're gonna have like 3-4 days a week, 3 days a week, and it's okay if you're not gonna. You can swing trade, especially like my type of strategy, especially if it's a trading happening on after hours. You can like hold it for the next day and cover it on pre-market morning. So you skip one day day trading doing that, which is good. So that's what I try to say to my students, like or trade zero or interactive brokers. And of course, if you have a big account, you can start with Cobra. And not like me myself, I was using only interactive brokers until September last year, which means 2 years and a half at least only with interactive brokers. Now that I open a Cobra account and I can see like the word changed, and now I still have IB as my main broker, and I have Cobra because my IB account has more money than Cobra, so I'm just like using Cobra for the stocks that I cannot short on IB because IB has less inventory, and also like I kind of mix when I'm already in a position here and I'm getting squeezed. Sometimes I go to the other one just to trade and increase size on the other one, and it's kind of working pretty well. And I might be able to open another account. Like my accounts are growing, so I might be able to open another one and probably Success Trader. And I know Success Trader is good, and Guardian and um, center point. I guess these are the best, and maybe I'll choose one between these. But that's it. I
Right.
would say trade zero and interaction brokers.
Perfect. So Lucas, thank you so much for coming on the show. But before, like just share your socials where people can connect with you and also mention about the service you provide in sharing knowledge and providing value to this world.
All right. Okay. My Instagram it's Lucas Marin, as the name as that is shown up here, underscore, and that's it. And my Twitter account is Marin Trader underscore, and the community, like the school that I have that teaches in Brazil, it's called Born to Trade Academy, uh, and that's it.
Love the
It's
name.
it's the same in yeah, that's the full name in in Instagram, on Instagram.